Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk specifically about why the Dungeons & Dragons movie is poised to succeed, specifically because the entire superhero movie industry is about to fail. All right, let me get into this. That's a bold statement. I need to back that up. All right, so the Dungeons & Dragons movie, we are long suffering to see this thing fire off. It's been a long journey. We got really excited in 2018, 2019 when the movie got a script, it got people attached to it, it got a studio, then it bounced to another studio, the script got thrown out, all the actors and directors, and I think even the script person got thrown out. It's been tumbling in, I don't like using this term, but development HE double hockey sticks. It's tough. It's really, really tough to make a movie today, okay? And Dungeons & Dragons has, it had one very, very not well-received film that came out in the year 2000. Here we are 2 decades later. There's been no replacement film, and we all want to see a successful Dungeons & Dragons movie fire off. Well, I think that we're about to have a very unique opportunity. Dungeons & Dragons can succeed. Here's why. So I think the entire superhero movie industry is about to fail. I will back that up with evidence. I'll give you the reasons why, and then the reason why the superhero movie failing would specifically help the Dungeons & Dragons movie is the Dungeons & Dragons movie needs the right studios, the right investors, and and right now those are with big superhero films, right, which are starting to fail those studios, and actually have been failing them for a long time. And so I think after there have been so many failures with these superhero movies, I think it could be time for them to try a fantasy film again. And Dungeons & Dragons is the best brand out there, except for Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is a great brand too, but we're not going to be seeing a Lord of the Rings movie anytime soon because Amazon just invested $500 million. Some groups on the internet have reported numbers of $500 million. $250 million go into the Lord of the Rings, the Tolkien estate. $250 million just to make the show, and it's going to be a one season of a Lord of the Rings a Lord of the Rings sequel. That is very exciting. That is very, very exciting. But the reality is that project could have serious problems, and we could be very queued up for some very cool success with the Dungeons & Dragons film specifically. Now, why would the Dungeons be? And again, Amazon.com's Lord of the Rings property would be a major competitor for a Dungeons & Dragons movie. By the way, I want a Dungeons & Dragons movie. I don't want a Dungeons & Dragons television show. Movies is the big dog. Like, television is still television. It's second tier. It is. I don't care. You sing all you want. Netflix is trying to win Oscars. Ain't there aren't Hollywood, there aren't movie studios trying to win Emmys. It don't work like that, right? The movies are still the movies. All right. So why am I saying that so the comic book industry failing could free up studios, talent, money in quarter $500 million chunks, which is what you're going to need to make a real good fantasy movie, for Dungeons & Dragons. Now, why do I say that the superhero movie series is really about to tank and it's about to fail hard? There's a lot of evidence for this. Okay, so one, let's look at DC. DC isn't about to fail. DC has been failing for a decade. DC is just a gigantic pile of loss. Okay, the DCEU after Christopher Nolan left has just been one devastating blow after another, with a few wins salted in, just enough to keep that whole burning platform dragging along. Right? What were the successes? Well, there's been two successes. Right? There's a long line of, in my opinion, failures. Suicide Squad was a failure. Justice League was a failure. Batman versus Superman was a failure. Birds of Prey, failure. You can tick them off. And these are well underperforming films, all films that should have been done $1 billion as a layup. Not a one of them made $1 billion. Man of Steel, like just, boom, 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 right? Now, what were the successes? There were 2 successes. Wonder Woman was a flat-out success. Got a lot of hype for the DC universe. It was fantastic, right? And also it really slammed the gauntlet down because it's the first real female superhero movie. But it's been a few years. It's been like 3 or 4 years, right? Now we got the sequel coming up, but it's been a minute, and that poor Wonder Woman sequel is sitting in the middle of a pile of junk. All right, it's just a hot mess. Ben Affleck's bounced out. A lot of people said Ben Affleck wasn't going to be a good Batman. Oh boy, were they right? Right, he turned out to not be a good Batman. He was not a good Batman at all. Like that did not work out, right? It did not go well, right? So DC is just a burning platform. Oh wait, let's talk about their other success. Joker. I love this success point. Joker is the little movie that could. It's the only rated R movie in history. Only superhero movie in history. The only rated R movie that is a superhero movie in history that made $1 billion. The only movie in history to not release in China that made $1 billion. So why is the success of Joker a problem? Success of Joker is a massive problem. One, it doesn't fit anywhere in the DCU. In fact, it cracks the DCU in half, right? There's no Batman in it. And if there is a Batman in it, it certainly isn't the Robert Pattinson Batman that we're about to get. So it literally conflicts with what DC is doing. It is a massive lack of vision. It doesn't fit. It's a puzzle piece that doesn't fit anywhere in what they're doing. It's just a one-off weirdo art house movie that doesn't fit with where they're at, right? The other thing is they want to do a sequel now. Where on earth are you going to go, right? And if it works, how are you going to bring these 2 incredibly different visions of your same universe into alignment? You can't. It doesn't work, right? So the success of Joker is actually a massive problem for DC. DC has been just dragging and kicking up sparks for 10 years. So DC is absolutely, it's just a big pile of fail, which makes a huge opportunity for the Dungeons & Dragons movie to come through, right? Because it's been going on for so long, right? Because I think that investors are getting sick of it. And they're getting sick of what is now clearly a lack of vision on the part of DC, and they're not pulling things together, and it just continues to be a problem, okay? By the way, I did not forget Aquaman. Aquaman did make $1 billion, but if you're making $1 billion with Aquaman, and you can't make $1 billion with Batman v Superman, you know you got a problem. Come on, yeah, it's a problem. Okay, let's talk about Marvel, right? Now, Marvel was full of wind, and here's the real opportunity for the Dungeons & Dragons movie. Yes, Marvel has crushed it for well over a decade, right? Kevin Feige has crushed it for well over a decade, and Kevin Feige showed how you made a cinematic universe. He has written a new template for every Hollywood studio, and frankly, every movie studio in the world is trying to copy what Kevin Feige did. Kevin Feige is the new king of entertainment of the 20th century, bar none. He has rewritten every rule in Hollywood, okay? Guess what? He is done. He is done. That seems incredibly clear. So one, he's moving over to Star Wars, okay? So that means that his genius is not going to be full attention on, he's not going to be able to put his attention on the superhero genre the way he used to, okay? Also, look at what has happened after Avengers Endgame. The Marvel movie series is clearly adrift. Clearly adrift. There is clearly nothing of significance planned. Let's knock it through. Okay. All right. What's coming out for Marvel now that Endgame is done? Jack all or nothing. I will knock these pins down. There is some crazy nonsense coming out. Stuff that has precedence on massive equivalent failures. Okay. First of all, let's talk about Black Widow. That movie has major problems before the light bulb hits the first cell of that film. Okay, here you go. First of all, I would love to be excited for a Black Widow film, but I can't be. You know why? Black Widow's dead. I don't know, Why are you showing me a movie now with Black Widow in it? She's dead. She just died. And not like died in ash and then came back. She's dead, right? Like this is a dead character. You're asking me to get invested and get excited for a dead character, right? Why am I going to go see a movie that I know I can't get a second or a second or a third installment of, right? Why am I going to go see a movie that I don't know when the heck it happens? Is it a prequel? It's not clear at all. It's not clear at all when this happens, right? Why am I supposed to care about this? It doesn't fit anywhere, right? And here's the other kicker, right? If you think I'm being unreasonable to worry about going to see a prequel film about a dead character, I got one word for you: Solo, right? That is exactly the same formula. Here's a cool, exciting prequel about a character we just killed, right? Solo was a hot mess. It was a $400 million, it was the only $400 million Star Wars movie. It was the worst performing Star Wars movie in the entire franchise. It was so bad, it almost single-handedly shut down Kathleen Kennedy's entire career in Disney, right? It like almost broke the franchise. It worried a lot of people, right? Many people say that The Mandalorian was a direct apology for Solo. Like that's how bad it was, right? Solo was the only Star Wars film to ever do less than $500 million, right? Most Star Wars films, Star Wars films do $1 billion as a layup, $2 billion if they want to, and frankly, if there's ever going to be a $3 billion movie, it's probably going to be a Star Wars film, okay? Right? So, like, there is serious problems with Black Widow, right? That movie looks a lot like Solo, and Solo was a burning dumpster fire, right? So there we go. Let's talk about some of the other exciting projects that are coming up for Marvel. All right, here we go. What else is there to talk about? Oh, yes. Scarlet Witch. What an exciting concept, right? Except right in the middle of that show, Scarlet Witch is married to Vision. She's married to Vision. Vision is dead. Vision is dead. Vision is dead. Again, why are you showing me content for characters that are dead and not explaining to me in the trailer why you're even putting this in front of my face? Why do I care about content for dead characters? I don't. Period. End of sentence. All right, let's talk about there's going to be a new Thor movie. Great. There's a new Thor movie for Thor who's now fat and has a smashed Mjolnir, right? So you want me to watch a Thor movie about a Thor who doesn't have a hammer and now doesn't look like Thor? What the heck? What are we being served up here? Like, you just bought the X-Men, right? So you're going to tell me I don't get a Wolverine, Cyclops, all these other ones, so that I can get, and hey, I'm totally down with a fat Thor if he had Mjolnir, but he doesn't even have Mjolnir. Like, a hammerless fat Thor? Come on. And it's not because he's fat, it's just like a hammerless fat Thor. It's weird, and I'm like, what the heck? Why are you putting this in front of me, right? And again, all these projects look so problematic. And also, here's some other ideas. What about Spider-Man? Oh, do you mean the Spider-Man that you had to drag back from Sony, and you guys have an agreement that is now put together with bubblegum and prayer, right? Because the two of you have been fighting so much over the characters. You both made billions of dollars, and now you're at each other's throats with fangs and claws? You mean that Spider-Man movie? I'm supposed to get excited when, all last summer there was nothing but, hey, Spider-Man will never be in another Marvel movie, right? Like, there are so many problems. And frankly, you know what? I'm not that upset with Kevin Feige. And frankly, I'm not even that upset that the superhero genre could be going away, right? Let it die for 5-10 years. I'm cool with that, right? And then let it come back with a gusto. Because the reality is, I'm not sure you're ever going to be able to beat Avengers Endgame in the next 5 to 10 years. I'm not sure there are any good ideas. And the stuff that's getting served up right now, as I'm supposed to watch it content for Marvel, are you kidding me? Come on. Like, now I want to make it super clear. I'm not besmirching Fat Thor. I actually I did a video on how much I love Fat Thor, right? He's super awesome. But like my issue is, if you're telling me it's Thor, right? But he doesn't look like Thor, and he doesn't have doesn't have the hammer. Why not just call it, The Big Lebowski 2 and be done with it, right? That's not even a Thor movie, right? Like, what the heck part of that even resembles Thor, right? So that's my issue there. So overall, there's just a lot of pablum being served up, and it is very, very, very clear that the entire movie industry is done. They're done for at least 5 years. They have let their momentum spin down. They have their wheels in the mud, and they are just spinning, and they are getting no traction. That is incredibly clear. There is not a single exciting superhero film on the docket anywhere. And I think that is a huge opportunity for the Dungeons & Dragons movie. That is a gap the Dungeons & Dragons movie can shoot through. It can win a major studio. It can win $250 million or even $500,000 budget. Could you imagine a $500,000 budget? That would be incredible. That would be awesome. And you know what? Dungeons & Dragons is every dollar worthy of it, right? If you could spend $500 million on Lord of the Rings, you can certainly spend $500 million on Gary Gygax's vision, because Gary Gygax was a better creator than Tolkien, right? There's no question about that in my mind, right? So the reality is, the failure, the clearly coming, the impending failure of the superhero genre is the gap that the Dungeons & Dragons movie can shoot through for massive success. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.